Tijuana, a Mexican city at the US border with California, is now considered the country's firearms trafficking capital. In just over 2 years, authorities have confiscated more than 2,000 firearms from the city's streets, more than any other Mexican border city, while last year more than 1,500 arrests were made for firearms trafficking across the wider region of Baja California. So it's not surprising that a recent study ranked Tijuana as the world's most violent city, based on its murder rate.
It's
a very serious problem. Last year we had more than 2,000 violent homicides. More than 90% of them were committed with high-caliber firearms.
The guns arrive in Tijuana from across the border. Even plenty of legally obtained guns come in. To buy a semi-automatic firearm in the state of California, you must be 21, have a state ID, proof of residency, a proficiency certificate, pass a federal background check, and then wait a mandatory 10 days. But once in hand, these weapons are moved easily into Mexico. Firearms traffickers move their contraband from here in California into Tijuana across the land border, which, as you'll see, is not especially high risk. Tens of thousands of vehicles cross the US border at Tijuana every day, and while long lines and checks heading north are part of the journey, crossing back into Mexico is, in practice, a far simpler process. And now we're in Tijuana. Despite official passport requirements, ours are not checked, and vitally, there's no customs inspection. It's this ease of movement that has made this city Mexico's firearms trafficking capital.
The border checks are very lax. There's a filter which chooses one car at random out of every 100 for inspection, and even then, the inspections are nowhere near as thorough as they should be.
Mario Martinez is Tijuana's municipal police chief and says there's little he can do about the lax border checks.
Es una ciudad turística.
This is a tourist city, and we considered installing additional checks after the federal customs, but it would have caused serious problems for our commerce, and we decided against it. Instead, we've asked the Mexican customs officials to upgrade their inspection technology to detect these sorts of weapons as they enter.
However, Martinez says the trafficking problem runs deeper, as methods used by criminal organizations have evolved, sometimes avoiding detection entirely.
Today we have found that around a quarter of all the guns are actually assembled here. The pieces required to make them are bought across the border, and now they are assembling them here.
As Tijuana battles gun trafficking, one thing it cannot control is its proximity to the US, and the worsening gun violence may depend on the firearms policies of its northern neighbour. Alasdair Baverstock, CGTN, Tijuana, Mexico.